And welcome to our town hall. This meeting has a number of purposes. One is to tell people how delighted we are to be back in business again after our 18-month shutdown while they rebuilt the APS. And so we want to tell all our existing users what we've been doing for last year and some of the great new features that we've been able to implement during the downtime, but also to inform some people that may be not familiar with BioCAT, what we are and what we're about. And so that's what these first few slides are going to be about primarily. So what are we? BioCAT stands for the Biophysics Collaborative Access Team, and we were organized to build the undulator beamline 18ID at the Advanced Photon Source Argonne National Laboratory. We've been funded by a number of mechanisms of NIH ever since 1995, but most recently, we've been funded by the P30 Mature Synchrotron Facility Structural Biology since 2021. But we go back a lot further than that. We're one of the earliest beamlines in the original APS. We started building our beamline in 1995. It was finished in late 1997, and our user program has been going ever since then. And so we're over and we're over 26 years of operation. And so we've made really good use of the APS. It was a wonderful machine for the kind of things we're doing. And we're entering a whole new phase for the after the APS-U upgrade. And so having worked for 26 years already, we've submitted our renewal grant for the next 5 years of operation. And we expect to be going for, another 25, 30 years to come. And so I don't think we're going to be going anywhere. So that's what happens. So what do we do? And well, probably the people that are existing users are probably familiar with only one aspect of our beamline, the muscle diffraction people familiar with that, the SACS people familiar with the other thing, but we do a number of different things. And so muscle diffraction is a subset of a larger field called fiber diffraction, and that has a number of different applications. So muscle diffraction, the big thing these days is looking at muscle regulation and how that might relate to various myopathies, including heart disease, muscular dystrophy, Nemeline myopathies, and other things. For a long time there, we did quite a bit of fiber crystallography, where you isolated fibrous proteins in various either in naturally occurring assemblies or artificially created ones. And so the main targets in this case is looking at neurodegenerative disease and looking at myelin in structures and brains and so on, arthritis and connection tissues. Now, the other thing you can do once you're doing fiber diffraction, if you can generate a very small focal spot, you can you can take a histology type preparation. You can actually image, say, a few micron square spot on a person, then take a diffraction pattern, move it over the beam size, take another pattern, and by doing a raster scan, building up a diffraction map of the whole subject. And then by imaging various things like the D-spacing, you can actually determine the distribution of various proteins such as myelin and collagen and amyloids and other things, and you can see the spatial distribution of these things and how much there are in various places. The other thing you can do with this is actually determine which way the molecules are pointing, and then you can also determine the angular dispersion of these things. And so all these things can be made into heat maps, and you can actually try and correlate these with images formed by the other forms of microscopy. One of the things with the APS-U, we have a much smaller source size. We can have much smaller focused beams from our serial optics, and so there could be significant scientific opportunities in these things if the community was developed. Now, Saxon the other time is about 60% of our user base, And there's two main parts of these things. Equilibrium sacks is where the sample it is not flowing. Well, it is flowing continuously, but we're not interested in time resolved phenomenon. And so the big applications, these things are the structure macromolecular complexes. You can look at relatively large things, but importantly, under near physiological solution conditions. People can use SACs to study protein ligand interactions. And a big area, which is hard to do other ways, is looking in flexible and intrinsically disordered proteins. And so it's become very important studying things like liquid-liquid phase transitions. And so these are things that are very hard to study with things like cryo-electron microscopy and conventional crystallography. One thing that we do that's unique but BioCAT is do time resolved SACs using continuous flow mixers. And originally we were interested in macromolecular folding reactions, but now by getting the sample requirements down to milligram quantities, we can look at general biochemical connections, reactions, including standard enzymology. And so we think there's room for significant growth in this area, and we've made some great progress over the years to making this a very routine modality. And so we're going to hear more about these things from the talks later today. So who are we? You'd probably know some of us. I'm now, we've changed the organization a little bit starting in January this year. So I used to be the director of BioCAT, and we've divided that job into two, where I'm the principal investigator, whereas I manage all relationships with the university and with NIH, and Jesse Hopkins is the staff director, in other words, the sector manager, and where he does the day-to-day management of the beamline. And this division of labor is very effective, and it's allowed us to specialize in different things and do a better job of various things. So we're happy about that. Wei Kong Ma is the beamline scientist in terms of the fiber diffraction program. And Max Watkins, the beamline scientist in charge of the ZAX program. And so most of you will be dealing with one of the others, these people, in terms of talking about experiments and scheduling beam time and so on. And Carrie Clark's our administrator who keeps us from running out of money. Rick Herrick's the beamline engineer, keeps the beamline operating. Mark Vukanich is our sysadmin person. He's very important in that he's our safety officer for a group and takes care of these problems. And Bill Lavender is a software engineer. And so oops, what happened there? And so let's go to what's going to happen. You just heard my talk. These are my opening remarks. We're going to start with an overview of what happened during the APS-U upgrade, and specifically what the effects are for BioCAT from Jesse Hopkins. And then when he's finished, we'll have Max Watkins talk about the new capabilities we've been developing for solution SACs. And then that would be followed by a description of our new capabilities that we've been developing in muscle diffraction. And then we'll end with a discussion of how to get beam time at BioCAT. There's been some changes over time with new administrative procedures that people need to know about ahead of time, and so we're hoping that this will ease problems later on. And then we'll end with some questions and answers afterwards. So thank you, folks.